Do we sing a theme song? It's the Tom Podcast. Time for Tom with Tom.
Hey.
3, 2, 1, talk to me.
Menachem, thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank
you for having me, joining me.
Yes.
I was shocked because you're the only person who can pronounce my name. So that was like, I was taken aback. I feel like you pronounce it better than I do. I'm like, Menachem. You're like, Menachem.
Menachem. Because I'm trying, when I'm calling you Menachem. Because I'm trying to say it in the American way.
Exactly.
So to say it regularly, Menachem.
It's good. But I feel like, again, you have like an extra, like you're rolling your chuz. I can't do
Menachem.
that. Menachem. Yeah, I know. I love how you're teaching me how to say my name. It's good. Now let's go Menachem Nachum.
Menachem Silverstein.
Yeah, very, very.
I had one of my best friends. One of his nicknames was Nachum.
One of your other best friends.
Yes.
Other.
He used to be.
Good. Just make
used
sure.
to be. Yeah, of course. Menachem.
But Nachum, that's good.
Yeah. So his nickname was Nachum.
Nice.
Yeah. Random. But nice.
It's a good nickname in Israel because people could pronounce it. Not a good nickname in America.
No.
Because you're not making it easier for anyone. It's like, oh, you can't say Menachem? Try Nachum. It's like, nah.
Try both.
Try both. Wait.
Menachem, I always adore the way you act, the way you manage your life. And everyone I talk to, I'm like, there is a person in Hollywood you have to meet. Like, it's like everyone need to meet you.
Thank you. Can you tell that to my wife that I handle myself well? Because she's like, you're an idiot. You should not be let outside of the house by yourself.
No, your wife's right. Whatever she says, exactly. I believe her.
Congratulations, you're ready for marriage.
Yes. Thank you. I work on it, And it starts from you're a comedian.
Yes.
You're a writer.
Yes.
You're a director.
Yes.
You're a rabbi.
Yes.
You managing production company.
Yes.
You're a father. You're a husband.
Yeah.
What else? What did I miss?
I want to become an astronaut.
You're an actor.
It's true. I have acted, but I feel like, to me, all of those things kind of fall into the same umbrella because it's like the second you have a production company, you end up having to wear multiple hats. Like I know you run a production company as well. Once you get to a high level in production, you can afford to have a director and a producer and all these separate things. But like for me, when I'm on set, half the time, I'm both the director and the writer and the PA and the gaffer and the project coordinator and casting director and all these things. So I think like having a smaller production company forces you to have these jobs, but it's also kind of a blessing where you get to learn and have the experience of all these jobs. How do you feel about it, Mr. Director, film, everything?
No, but like the thing is with you that I just do things randomly, and you say, I never forget the talks that we used to have in the coffee shop, because you're saying, yeah, I have meetings until 12. That's when I do meetings, and then from 12 I'm going to the studio or the editing room, and I have my editor and we work on editing, and then I know I have 4. I need to pick up my kids. And then I go, and then Monday it's writing day. It's like you have a very specific plan.
I definitely try to, because when you're trying to manage so many things, if you don't have a little bit of structure, it very quickly turns into chaos. And I have chaos a lot. Like to me, what I do is I have the structure, so then when the chaos happens, I can then kind of like fall back on the structure. But it tends to be more chaos than structure. I just put on a good facade.
And you're a cook. More like a chef.
More like a chef, exactly.
Yes.
How dare you? How dare you? Call me my proper name.
That's like hosting every Shabbat, bunch of people.
But that's just selfish. I just want to hang out with people. And during the week, I'm so busy with work, so I don't have the choice. So I have to cook so I can convince people to come to my house and hang out with me. Just like a desperate puppy. I'm like,
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
100%.
I see it now.
Exactly. Makes sense.
The last Shabbat, I think we did. Sometimes I see people, I look at people, and I can see their past. Okay? And I saw you sitting with one of your best friends. Both of them are actors. And you guys talking. You're in the middle. You're in the head of the table. You all kind of like crunch up with your legs and like empty plates. And just like a marathon, not a marathon, more like a highway of communication, like of talking on conversations. Like he talks to you, and then he talks to him, and then you talk to him, and then like a crazy junction of.
I love that term, highway of conversation, because that feels right.
That comes from Hebrew. That's how we.
That's how you say it?
Yeah.
What's the term in Hebrew?
Wow.
I'm putting you on the spot. You can say it in Spanish if you'd like.
Sí, claro, no.
No, but that's funny. It is funny how in different languages, like, there's different terminology where, like, it does not always translate.
No, I forgot how to.
Yeah, you forgot. It's okay. We can call in the translator. Get the.
But the thing is, I like, because I've been in Crown Heights, and
that's where I'm from. Shout out Crown Heights.
Yes, in the 770.
Nice.
And I see how things going on there. I saw how things, like in the highway, like very fast, very efficient, very fast pace. Also New York, obviously.
Yeah.
New York City. But then I saw you there and like talking like that, and I saw you 10 years ago, 2 years ago, you're so young, doing in the yeshiva, and like in the yeshiva, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and just talking with all of your friends. And I always said you can do many things, multiply things at once, just like the contrary of a man. Like men can't do that.
Right. I think that's like my OCD, that I can, like, OCD producer brain can focus on a bunch of things. But yeah, I think, like, to me, that was always something that I wanted to do. I love kind of like bringing people together, connecting people, and the best way to connect and bring people together is over food. And Shabbat is like that natural, built-in, like, time to take a step back, relax, and hang out with people and eat good food. So it's just nice to kind of like have these long tables, like, full of people. Just
it's
like,
a really long table.
It's a really long table.
It's like a room.
It's a really long table.
And with a long table. That's it.
And it's 2 long tables. So
it's 2.
I'll just tell you a very funny story. So basically, like, we move into this new house and we have, like, the biggest dining room. Like, the dining room doesn't make sense. It's so long. Like, I don't know, like, who would ever have this as a dining room. And I look at it, I'm like, this is perfect. We need a big dining room. So we're, like, thinking of, like, getting a table that's big enough. And, like, any table big enough for that room is, like, $3,000 starting price. Like, it's insane. So we're like, okay, we're going to get 2 tables. And then we're looking at it, it's like, instead of $3,000, it's 2 $1,800 tables. So it's like we don't know what we're going to do. We're not dropping thousands of dollars on tables. So I decided, I'm like, you know what, we're going to get 1 table. And then when we have more guests, we'll put up like a folding table and we'll put a long tablecloth on it or something, like, and make it look like a long table. So we go and my wife finds this table on sale, and it's like $1,000 table on sale for like $400. I'm like, that's pretty amazing. Like, okay, $400. So we get the table and it comes and like the corner's damaged. So if you have a tablecloth on top, you don't see it, but the wooden corner's damaged. Yeah. So we call the company and we're like, oh, like the table came damaged. Could we replace it? And they're like, no, keep that one. We'll send you a new one. And they sent us a second table. So like the table that would have cost us $3,000+, we ended up getting for basically like $400.
Wow.
And the table not only is like a big table, it extends. So we have 2 of these like extending tables. So we could fit like 24 people around the table. Like when it's fully extended.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think that's the max we've had at like one time was like 24. Maybe
that's
26.
Insane.
Yeah. It was cool.
And
I
you like the chaos.
I love the chaos.
You like when many people like, yeah, you're thriving in chaos. I see that.
But also I love like again, if somebody wants to like come to spend time for Shabbat, like I'm not going to say no. Like, come on. Like, we'll figure it out. We'll squeeze you in. I don't know. We'll do double decker. We'll just put people on laps. This will be like a Santa Claus thing now.
I love
Let's
that
go.
mentality. It's amazing for me. And it's also the first time I saw this mentality here in the US with Jewish hosting people, just random people.
Because in Israel, they never want to host Jews. They're like, Jews, ugh, ah,
yeah. Exactly. It's like, we don't have the same, we have the mentality, but it's not like we're in Israel. So it's different. We don't looking for hosting. Here, you're like, okay, what are we going to do Shabbat? You know, it's a theme.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's kind of different where it's like, let's say when, like, you don't really think to like invite your brother for a meal because it's like, oh, he's my brother. He's going to come if he wants. He's not going to come if he doesn't want. So I feel like Israel, because like there's so many Jews there, it kind of feels like the same way. It's like, okay, everyone's doing their own thing. I'm not going to invite you. Like everyone has their own thing going. With like when you're in a place like California, it's like there are a lot of Jews, but there also it's like the Jews are kind of like spread out. So it's like, okay, let's all come together for this thing, which is nice. People, especially people who like come from out of town, like actors and comedians and all these people who like left their homes and are like here and like don't have a place. Like again, you came from Israel. You don't necessarily have a place for Shabbat. It's like, okay, come for Shabbat. Let's do it.
Yeah. Now I have, by the way,
Yeah.
guys, if ever someone want to do a Shabbat.
Please, exactly. Call in at 333. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, speaking of, you have to come for Shabbat. It's been a while.
After Israel. For
Yes,
sure.
amazing.
100%.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Fun.
I will bring food the next time.
Are you gonna bring food from
Yeah.
Israel? Can you bring a
No,
shawarma?
I want to bring
shawarma
food.
for me?
I
I want it
never
from
been-
Israel.
What do you want?
I want. I don't know. Bring me a shawarma from Israel.
What
on the
about
plane.
bamba? Like that's...
I'm allergic to peanuts. Isn't that crazy?
What?
I know. I can't have anything peanuts.
That's new.
I know. That's why I would not survive in Israel. I would last like maybe 30 minutes. 20,
Coming
23
in.
minutes. I just come in and just die.
Peanuts in the air.
Exactly.
Bamba throwing away.
Like, yeah, I'm anti-Zionist because of the peanuts. Just the peanut part. I'm just like, you know.
I hate it.
Exactly. Just I'm anti-Bamba.
I just saw on your story that you posted that you are the first person with a tzitzit and a yarmulke and a kippah doing a show in the Laugh Factory.
Yeah, so what happens is there are definitely a lot of Jewish comedians, and there are even some religious comedians, but in the past, like all the religious comedians who like performed have worn caps or not worn their tzitzit or maybe tucked it in. But I'm the first one at the Laugh Factory like who performs there regularly to have my kippah and tzitzit out.
Wow.
And on the Netflix Is a Joke Festival, I was the first and currently am the only one to perform in a kippah and tzitzit. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. That's amazing. Can you show the...
Could we show that?
Yeah, I want people...
To
No,
see that?
the tzitzit.
Oh, the tzitzit. I'm like, like pull out the post. Ta-da.
So can you explain, whoever doesn't know what tzitzit is, what is exactly?
So what happens is God gave the Jewish people 613 commandments.
How much?
613. You don't know this?
I didn't know this.
Well, now you know.
Wow.
So basically, some of them are positive, some of them are negative. So some of them would be like, for example, there is one, do not kill, and there's another one, preserve life. So those are two separate ones. So there are positives and there are negatives. They equal 613. And what happens is any four-cornered garment is supposed to have these tzitzit to remind, it's like different strings and knots, to remind the Jews of their commandments. And then Orthodox Jews will wear a kind of like shawl underneath their clothes with four corners that have the tzitzit. And it's basically to remind you why you're here. And the 613 mitzvahs are for a person to help make the world a better place. So you have to like remember as a Jew, like you're not just here to like party and have a good time. Like that's always fun and we should party and have a good time. But also it's like you're here to, you know, again, make the world a better place, bring a smile to someone's face, you know, be a light onto the world. Or le'olam. See, look at my Hebrew. Check that out. Check
I
it.
love that.
The accent wasn't right, but the words were.
I heard you.
Or le'olam. No,
Or
I made it
le'olam.
worse. I made it worse.
Yes.
Now I'm just, that's
No,
cultural
it's good though,
appropriation.
it's
I'm
good.
sorry. It's good. I'm getting there.
Yeah. Or le'olam.
Stop making it look so easy. Or. That's not the rolling. Or le'olam. Or. Or.
Or le'olam.
Or. Yeah.
Right?
But you kind
Yeah.
of like, you don't even realize it. Like you're, like an American would say or,
Yeah.
but you're like or.
Yeah.
Like your R is more of like a from the throat.
I feel like Israelis, like, my theory is like we're lazy. We're speaking very like this, you know. It's like this is the accent.
Just as least effort. Like if
Yeah.
I don't want to do R. Just like
you know,
just drag the other one out a little bit more. Nice.
That's my theory. And here in English, I practice in. I'm reading a book and like that. I need to practice to open my mouth because we don't do that in Hebrew. It's like
You save opening your mouth for food because you guys, Israel does have good food.
exactly.
It's like
We need
you're, right when you're eating shawarma, then it's like and then like after that, it's like I've already opened my mouth today. The rest of the day, I'm keeping
enough
it closed.
is enough.
Exactly.
Guys. That's it. That's fine.
It's a very
that's good.
efficient
Yeah.
people.
So, Menachem, I have a question for you.
Yes, I'm
Beside all of
circumcised.
those,
What's your next question?
how a guy from Crown Heights, 770, waking up, deciding, okay, I want to be like you perform in the Laugh Factory, Dr. Phil, and this host that I always keep forgetting. There's another dude, Jimmy Kimball.
Yes, that was fun.
How a guy from a yeshiva, 770 Crown Heights, you know, what does he and comedy and standing on stages want to move to LA living the entertainment life, which are like, you need to touch. No, I'm joking. And
Chas v'shalom. Yeah, okay.
that was
God
good.
forbid. That was good. That was good. Nice.
Very good.
I'll take it.
No, I like it because every time we talk with people, there's always people around you who say, no, he's a shomer.
Exactly. Sorry.
And I love it because it's like angels/bodyguards around you all the time. It's when it's, it depends who's standing. I'm more like an angel. I can be a bodyguard. I'm not.
No, but you're Israeli, so like I wouldn't mess with you even though you don't look ripped. I'd be like, he probably knows Krav Maga. He's probably ex-Mossad. Really? Like you could probably kill me with like one finger. You just be like,
I think the Mossad should hire me. 100%.
Yeah, 100%. To do their PR, to run their podcast, the Mossad podcast. I'd listen to that. We should pitch the Mossad.
Wow.
A super secret government organization definitely should have a podcast.
Wow. I love that. All the secrets. It's a secret.
100%.
That's a show.
Or the podcast just muted. So you just see the video and you can't see anything. And there's just like a black box over their mouth.
Code Morse.
I would still watch. Exactly. I'd listen for 45 minutes because maybe you'd hear a little something. Oops. Like they slept. They forgot to mute the whole thing.
So, yeah. How a kid even dream about it or even trying to put goals and trying to reach them? What is the, like, how does it start?
So the simple answer is I'm out of my mind.
I agree.
Easy. So it was one of those things where this is something that kind of like came easy to me, and you learn. Everyone is born with gifts and everyone's born with talents, and like God gives people talents for a reason. Like in the Torah, it mentions like when you're supposed to bring like a sacrifice to God. It's like you bring from your best, not from your worst. You don't find like a little lamb that's like dying anyways, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna bring it as a sacrifice. Like it specifically says like bring like whether it's your flour, your spices, an animal, whatever it is, any sort of sacrifice you're supposed to like give from your best to bring. When it talks about poor people, it says that you're supposed to like give them like don't just give them the leftovers of you have, like give them some of your money. When it comes to like even the concept of like people who work in your house, according to Torah, it says like if you eat steak for dinner, your employees eat steak for dinner. You can't eat steak and feed them chicken. So it's really about kind of like giving from your best and not giving from your worst or your okay. And for me, I always like found entertainment something that was like easy, fun for me, and I was good at it. And I was like, why would I just like go and sell things on Amazon or go become a lawyer or whatever it is, or be like just be a school teacher or whatever, when like this is something that I'm good at. And for me, I always like loved TV shows. I loved movies. I loved making people laugh, and I loved people being entertained. So it was like, hey, how can I bring my version of that to the screen? And decided like, hey, let's try it out. And so far so good.
Yes. Netflix every you have the
Laugh Factor every Thursday. I got to do the Netflix is a Joke Festival. I got to do 3 shows in the festival, which was great. Got to option script, sell some scripts, got to write on TV shows. Like, thank God things have been.
And now I saw also you working with the Jewish Netflix.
Yeah. So there's this. That's funny. There's this company called Tovito, and it's a streaming service for Orthodox Jewish children. So it's like Orthodox Jewish kids content. So they reached out to me and they're like, hey, when you have time, like in between your projects, would you be down to like make some stuff for us? Wow. And I was like, hey, I want to make stuff that I would have loved to watch as a kid and that my kids would love to watch. So I'm getting to film these, like we filmed this trilogy of like Jewish time travel movies, which was really fun. And we're doing like this Jewish superhero show now. What? And we did this like Jewish American Ninja Warrior type show for these like kids. And you have these kids with like kippahs and tzitzit climbing massive, like these kids, I'm actually like, shout out to these children. I had to put a GoPro at the top of this massive rock climbing wall so we'd get like the better angle. And I'm climbing up that and I'm looking down and I'm like, this is terrifying. And I put that GoPro on top, pray to the Lord, and climb down, and I'm alive. And then I sent these kids up, and these kids are like 10 years old and they're just like scaling the wall like Spider-Man. I'm like, wow. So yeah, so definitely have fun with that. So yeah, it's really special where I get to, kind of like work on bigger projects, like bigger TV projects that I really want to. I get to do comedy and have that instant gratification of being able to make people laugh and make people happy. Hopefully, put them in a better mood, fix their day. And then also, you know, getting to like make these fun little kids shows that like my kids love, and, you know, kids in the community. Like I just went back to Crown Heights and like I got stopped on the street by little kids.
Because you're acting there.
Because, some of them, like I did this one about Sukkot, like building a sukkah.
Really?
Where like me and my friend are like bad at building the sukkah. And again, it was this like fun little like very shticky over the top comedy. And the kids loved it. And like I literally have like parents stopping me on the street and being like, my kid wants to take a photo with you. And I'm like, stop it. Okay, sure. No, not that angle. This angle. I don't care about it. I'm not vain, but also, this side, my good side. Let's go.
Wow. That's amazing. Wow. Because you're doing every Thursday, the Laugh Factory.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Oh, yeah, it's huge. I was actually like talking to my friend Susha Golden from Susha Golden Photography.
Yes.
Shout out Artists Against Anti-Semitism. And he was a guest on the show. But yeah, so I was just talking to Susha about that. Where like, we both were like having like that downer moment of complaining like, we're not far enough in our careers, da-da-da. Then I like stopped and I was like, Susha, like, you photographed that Deadline, like photographed all these huge, crazy, amazing celebrities. And he's like, yeah, and you're at the Laugh Factory every Thursday. And I thought about it. It's like, as a little kid, performing at the Laugh Factory once would have been the biggest, craziest thing, like unimaginable feat. And I get to do it every Thursday. And then like, because I've done it so long, like I kind of take it for granted, and I need to like take a step back and be like, wow, how lucky am I? Like, how much would people give up to perform at the Laugh Factory once, let alone every Thursday? That's pretty really amazing. Yeah.
That's impressive. And I like
Thank
it.
you.
It's like the consistency, like every Thursday.
Shout out to the Laugh Factory in Tehran for letting it happen.
Shout out. We love them. And now you're doing kid show when you have kids.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
And I get to test it on them. So like when I have a rough edit, before I like lock in the things, I can go and play it for them and like see if make sure they're laughing at the right part and they're engaged and they're like, you know, kind of a little scared or like, you know, tense by the tension part. And like based on that, I can kind of like go and tweak the edit a little bit. You know, if like they didn't laugh hard enough, maybe like I can add a little noise, or I can add a little effect, or I can speed it up or slow it down.
So you like sitting with a notebook?
Yeah. And I'm like kind of like I'm like watching them watch it to just like see how they react. And I'll also like make my wife watch it too, so I can kind of like also gauge how adults watch it, because I know that like not only will the kids will watch it 100 times hopefully if they like it, but the adults will tend to watch the shows with the kids, or have to watch the shows with the kids.
Yeah.
So like I want to try to keep them entertained as well,
and also not canceling.
And also not cancel. So yeah, it's a fine line and a fine balance.
There was like
no, but canceling is like lightning. It you can't strike twice, right? Moving on. No, I'm kidding. What got you into podcasting? That's the real question. I love this.
Because we sit in coffee shops.
Yes.
And I'm intrigued.
I love that we brought the coffee shop here today.
Of course.
Okay.
That's part of the
Amazing.
routine. By the way, you have no idea what happened. I was coming in and they don't have hold cups like this.
Okay.
And they have like the wide, big, a lot of thing. And I'm not going to carry it. It's just 2 cups. I can do it. It's like 4 cups for 4 cups.
You spelled it over yourself, didn't you?
So I was doing that. And your coffee was full.
Okay.
Because it was new. And I opened it and I pressed in the code and it fell. It fell like that. My instincts, my right hand just like grab it like that. The whole coffee kind of spilled on my hand. Hot black coffee. And I was like, I felt like the Mossad. That's why I'm thinking the Mossad should hire me. Because I was like, okay, open the door. Nothing happened. I didn't get even a drip.
Drip. Wow.
Drip.
Or drop. Wow.
Drip.
First off, that's impressive. Secondly, you can't sue me because it wasn't my coffee yet. Thirdly, I'm suing you, so your nasty finger touched my coffee? Gross! And I put my mouth on that!
No, it was closed, and I cleaned it very carefully because there was coffee all around. I want to make sure
hand sanitizer on my coffee.
No, I got nothing on your. My hand was out of it.
Now we'll taste it. 1 second. Still tastes a little like your
hand.
hand.
Ready yet?
But I like it. It's okay.
Yeah.
As long as you didn't have Bamba today, we'll find out. It's just like,
ooh. Wow. That's good. No serving Bamba to Menachem.
They're serving Bamba.
Yeah, that's important.
So I guess that's good thing it's not part of the show.
Yes.
This show is sponsored by Osem Bamba. Because if not, we have a little bit of a problem.
Maybe the next show.
Sponsored by Osem Bamba.
Yeah.
Are we putting it here or putting it higher? Is my hand in the right place?
Right here. I think
exactly.
that's the window for the sponsor.
Nice. By the way, it's actually a window for a sponsor. That's great. Nice.
Soon, each.
Exactly. We're going to have to go wider and wider as the show gets more popular.
So that's why because I love our conversation. I feel like there's no really conversation that allows to talk how in the most simplest way of how to do things. And
I love how you wanted to make your guests comfortable. So you're like, hey, just like talking in a coffee shop is just so casual and comfortable. How about we do the same thing, but with bright lights in your face and cameras and microphones and discussion of burning, scalding hot coffee. Yes, so comfortable. so comfortable.
Exactly.
And you made me wear pants during this meeting.
Was it?
And I had to wear pants.
Yes, of course. I wore pants too. I'm like,
why? We should just do the podcast a little tighter in. Then we don't have to wear pants. Then we're really comfortable. Then you can turn on all the bright lights you want.
That's like an idea. I was thinking about it today. I'm like,
pants off with Tom. I'd be on that podcast.
Just like that.
Exactly. Literally, just like nips up. Would be great.
What about the pool? We have like a massage for the legs. You can put your.
Oh, that's amazing! Just have like a spa.
Yeah,
that's good. Like I would do an interview while I'm spawning, but the truth is that then I wouldn't be. I would know you couldn't talk because I'd just be like, okay.
No, but that's an idea. That's like Seinfeld stuff now.
That's Seinfeld stuff.
Like they had the coffee, they had the car. Spa.
Exactly.
Sitting in a spa and like
normal people in a spa having conversations.
Yeah,
it's a very long title. I don't know if I can fit on a t-shirt.
A woman should do it. Because it's like or actually a man. Because the contract, to see the contract.
Exactly.
Contrast.
And a woman should have a podcast where they just eat liver. It's getting, exactly, just, instead of Bamba, we have to have something that I'm not allergic to. It's just pounds of liver.
There's the podcast that doing the hot sauce.
Mm-hmm. Hot Ones?
Yeah.
Love that.
Oh, it's called Hot Ones.
It's called Hot Ones. No, that's great. That's crazy. We should do that just with shots of Manischewitz and see how long you can last by drinking the... Arak's great, though. No, but you know the Manischewitz, the really thick, gross one that's like syrup? Like imagine no drinking, like the really thick Manischewitz, like grape juice.
What is Manischewitz?
You know what Manischewitz is? Manischewitz didn't make it to Israel?
Manischewitz?
Manischewitz, please sponsor us. Manischewitz is like this huge company. They sell like all kosher items. Mm-hmm. So they have something, so they have wine, but their wine is like thick and syrupy and sweet and nasty. You either love it or you hate it. But what would be funny is if you have an interview and like you have to take shots of it, no drinking water, and see if you like you
because you need the water.
Oh my gosh, because it's like just thick, like sugary syrup grape juice. It's nasty, but also amazing. Sponsor us. And they make gefilte fish. That would be a fun podcast. Like eat a piece of gefilte fish and try to talk.
But how do you talk after?
Oh, exactly. Just you get more and more nauseous, like trying not to throw up in the middle of the conversation. Also, I love Manischewitz products and gefilte fish. Yeah, I wouldn't throw up. No, not me. Sponsor us. I'm getting you guys sponsors. We're gonna do this. Bringing this to the next level.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I do, because that's what I think like every podcast should do. Like what I love is kind of like when people are having a deep conversation. It's like, so tell me about the time that your father was molested as a child. Sponsored by JetBlue. Fly anywhere. Fly your heart's destination. So what were you saying about that? What did the priest do? And it's like, what? How did that happen? Also, I'm going to buy a flight on JetBlue. Like it works. It works on me every time. So we could have some fun ones with Manischewitz.
Gefilte fish.
Gefilte fish.
What is the...
Do you like fish? How about fish in a jar?
Wow, I have an idea.
Yes.
For a jar product.
For a jar product?
Yeah. A very good one.
So I love how they started off as a podcast. Now we're just literally pitching Manischewitz. We're just going to send this episode directly to them. Just go.
No, seriously.
Okay, what's a jar product? Go. You're sharing this with the world.
I can't share it, but I will talk to you about it later. It's
amazing. We discussed earlier how if we did the Mossad podcast, we would just mute it and put like a black bar over our mouths. Could we just make this next segment just a Mossad segment and you'll tell me what the idea is?
Ooh. Alex, can we...
Exactly.
There's someone here.
But I do want to hear about the jar product now.
No, it's actually very interesting. It's a very comic thing. So I think you should.
Sweet.
Yeah, let's talk about it later.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm definitely down.
Yeah. What was the decision, or even what made you understand I'm good at that. I'm good at make people laugh, and I'm actually going to make money out of it. Not just laugh or just communicate and creating things.
So I started off really writing when me and my friend were in camp, and he was like my first writing partner.
What camp?
We were in like a Jewish camp. I know Jews and camps, we shouldn't use those two words together, but we're taking the word back. We're taking it back. So we were in summer camp, and we were the counselors, and there was a kind of like just a camp newsletter that nobody wanted to do and nobody wanted to work on. And I told the director, I was like, I'm happy to take over the job for the newsletter, but like I can write whatever I want. And he was like, sure. So I just had fun with it. We'd have fake camper interviews where we just pick a camper's name and we do a completely fake interview. I also made counselor profiles, and we'd like have the origin story of each counselor. So every week there'd be a different like ridiculous over the top origin story of how we found the counselors and what the counselors were up to before they were brought to camp. And basically like I just had a lot of fun with that, and the counselors loved it. The parents loved it. Like one week we were late to giving it out, and like the parents were like, oh, when's it coming out? Like, and I realized like the parents were reading it and enjoying it. And I turned to my friend at the time and I was like, listen, people make a living. Like we both love TV. We bonded over the fact that we loved watching television and we loved the storytelling and making people laugh. And I was like looking at him and I was like, every TV episode has a name of who wrote the script, which means people are writing the scripts and people are getting paid to write the scripts. That can be us. Why wouldn't it be us? Like we consume enough content to know what people like. We're funny and talented enough. We wrote this, like these little stories that people like. Why not put it on a grander scale? So we wrote our first script. And based on that, we got managers. And to me at the time, I didn't know what like Hollywood was, and I didn't understand it. So the second I got managers, we were young. We were like 19. And then basically, we were like, hey, we have managers. We made it. And I was sure I made it in Hollywood. And I like came out here and I'm like, yes, I just made it. I'm going to sell a script. And the even crazier thing was within the first year, I got really lucky where like I sold a script to TBS Digital and I got to, help punch up a script for Jimmy Kimmel. And that was the Jimmy Kimmel thing I was on. I got the life rights of this pro skateboarder, and we got to pitch his show to Lionsgate. And Lionsgate told us that they were going to buy it. And then on Monday they passed, whatever. Shout out, we still love Lionsgate, sponsored by Lionsgate. We have so many sponsorships today. And then like I got to pitch Lionsgate a different thing, like this talk show that was like really close to, getting picked up, and we shot some test footage for. And I like kind of had like me coming out here and thinking that I'm going to make a living in TV writing was definitely like a little delusional, where it was like, that's kind of, because people forget there are less working TV writers than there are NFL players. It's easier to get into.
Can you say it again?
There are less working writers in entertainment than there are NFL players.
Wow.
So it is easier to get into the NFL than it is to make a proper living writing professionally.
That's insane way to look at it.
But I was like, yeah, but to me, I'm like, I felt confident enough that I was going to do it. And in my first year, I had enough like cool experiences and close calls that I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I kind of just, based on that, pushed through. But I think that like anything in life, you have to be like a little bit delusional. I'm saying even in business, like if you decide you're like, I'm going to make a product in a jar and I'm going to sell 1 million units. And then like everyone looks at you and you're like, you're crazy. And then you go and do it. The person who came out with Uber, everyone was like, that's crazy. And it is. It's 100% crazy, but it worked.
Mm-hmm. Wow. In age 18?
Yeah. It's about 18 or 19.
And when did you move to LA? When you were...
Right, kind of shortly thereafter, by like 20, I was at her.
Oh. So you finished high school and came here?
Yeah. So I finished high school. I was in like yeshiva, so I got ordained as a rabbi and then moved out here. got ordained as a rabbi, got married, and then moved out here.
Wow.
Yeah.
While married.
Got married young. Yeah.
No, it's a brave thing.
Yeah.
To not just getting married, just to take your wife with you to this.
And again, but to me, what was so funny also was like the fact that I had managers. I was like, I came out here with a 9 to 5. Like I wasn't stupid enough to be like, I'm not gonna have any job. I'm just gonna be a full-time writer. So I had a job. But to me, because I had the managers, I was like, oh, I'm gonna work for like 6 months and then sell my own show and just be show running. And it wasn't that easy, obviously, but again, like I was lucky enough or unlucky enough to have like so many close calls right at the beginning.
Wow. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Do you remember when I came to you and I told you there is in the Torah, there is a saying that I'm afraid of, having a family, getting married, having a kid. It's a lot of responsibility. And there's a saying that an old friend of mine said, don't buy the trawler and then have a baby. Have the baby and the trawler will come to you, in a way. And then you gave me this book, Shara Bitachon. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I love that book. Such a good book.
I bought, so your book is big.
You bought the small one?
And I got to tell you,
Isn't it great?
It's a great book, I'm sure.
Great
I
book.
haven't read much.
You should.
But I will tell you why. Because with small books, that the cover, it's like you're reading like a Disney movie.
Like a comic book.
Like a comic book, exactly. And
Well, you shouldn't have gone cheaper. It was like $17.99, and you're like, $16.99. Yes. I saved $1, and it's like the mini version.
That's literally what happened. And with your book, you like open it, and it's open widely, and you just like you have to listen to the book.
Right.
You have to listen to it. You have to. Okay, I'm interested. When the small book, it's closing. It's closed. The cover literally closed.
It's right. It doesn't even want to stay open.
It doesn't want to stay open. And I was like, damn. Because I'm trying to read, I'm trying to understand, but it's somehow it was different. With you, it was like, that's so interesting. Then I'm reading the book at night, and I'm like, is this Hebrew? It's like,
well, I think it's also easier when you're like with someone, like in like a class setting or a friend setting, like to learn than like reading yourself. Mm-hmm. But to me, like I love the like concept of that book, which I think is just like really changing your mindset, where it's like the concept is everyone relies on something. Mm-hmm. You put your trust in something. You put your trust in your boss that he's going to give you enough money to live. You put your trust in your company that it's going to bring enough money to live. You put your trust in, like other people that they're going to hook you up, or, whatever, your landlord that he's going to keep renting your apartment to you. And this is like, hey, what if there was something bigger? What if there is a God? So if there's God, God is this infinite thing. So you can either put your trust in humans and humanity, and then you are now like, a slave to them. Like you're reliant on your boss to give you money. You're reliant on your landlord to give you a place to stay. But if you kind of like are willing to just like let go and believe in a bigger thing, then like this bigger thing can take care of you and can like, like it just kind of like gives your brain this like just openness and escape, where it's like, I don't have to rely on my landlord. Like if this house falls through, I'll go somewhere else. I don't have to rely on my boss. If I lose this job, I'll go somewhere else. And it just kind of like gives you this immense freedom to just like, hey, I'm going to take this leap of faith. And like, I hope it's going to work. And then like you kind of, weirdly enough, it's like, it works.
You think it's like manifesting, or
it's a similar concept to manifesting. Again, it's just like, you're like allowing a bigger thing to just kind of like help you out. It's kind of like, so like one of the examples that they say is like, let's say like the world is like full of like the energy in the world, God, whatever you want to call it, like gives you blessings. Mm-hmm. And the question is like, are you receiving the blessings properly? Like, do you have a tiny bowl, a big bowl? Is your bowl cracked? Because if you have a cracked bowl, then even if you're getting all these blessings, it's going to fall at the bottom. So it's like, how can you just like be there to receive it? So part of that is like the manifesting. Like I'll just give us, kind of like a wild story, and you could, like this has happened to me so many times, but I'll just give you like 2 stories of just like crazy kind of things like this. The first story is when I was younger, and my wife wanted to like get new dresses for the holidays. And she got like, it was like 3 dresses, and it was like $100 and something. I'm like, we had just moved out here. Like we spent all this money. Like I didn't have any money. Like I had a kind of bad job. But I just thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? Like she's happy. It's for the holidays. Like let's just buy it. And I go and I swipe my card, and I'm like, we'll figure it out. Within an hour, a friend of mine calls who I like had kind of helped set him up with his wife. And he's like, oh, by the way, my mom just wants to like send a gift just to say thank you for helping, and sends me $100. And it just covered it. And then another story that happened recently, this happened last August, where I have like the goals of what I want to make every month. And I was a few $1,000s short. And I'm like, okay, like the month is like getting to a close. I'm a few $1,000s short. And I'm just like, okay, like whatever it is, like I guess I wasn't supposed to make, you know, that much money this month. And like, I'll just kind of have to work harder next month and pick it up. The last day of August, the last day of the month, I get a letter in the mail from SAG. And it was like an acting job I did a year prior. And like, I didn't know if I was getting residuals. Like, and even if I get residuals, usually residuals are like a few $100. Mm-hmm. I open it, and it is the exact amount of money I needed. Literally, it was the few thousand I needed. It was a few $1,000 check. And ask actors, like, you don't get thousands of dollars of residuals. You get hundreds of dollars of residuals. People get $2 residuals. For whatever reason, I got like a very large residual check that made up the difference of how much money I needed to make that month.
Wow.
And I was good. So like, to me, there's kind of like, that has happened to me too many times to like not believe in something that's like a little bit bigger, and whatever you want to call it. Like, again, if you don't want to believe in God and you want to call it something else. But like, to me, I see it as God coming and like just taking care. So that's kind of what that book is about. It's just like,
but it's not like you let go of things. You work hard. You like very consistency.
For sure. Right. You shouldn't be lazy. It's like, you can't expect to win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. But you don't have to buy 100 tickets to win. You can win off one ticket. So that's kind of the concept. The concept is, you should be doing your best. You should be working. By you working, you're making that vessel to receive blessing. Like, you can't just like sit and not do anything. But you have to understand that it's like, what do you live for? You live to enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, you know, meet a wife, whatever it may be. And like, you shouldn't live to work. So what you do is you work the best you can, the hardest you can, but then you're allowed to take time off and be with your family. You're allowed to take time off and meet with friends and whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And just know that like, all the work that you put in, like if it's meant to be, you will get all the blessings that you need and all the money that you need. Like, again, like I got lucky where like I launched my production company properly when my daughter was born. So after I had 2 kids. Wow. And like, now I make way more money and work. I'm saying, I wouldn't say less, but work differently than I did with my 9 to 5. Like, when I had a 9 to 5, I was working 100% 9 to 5. And a lot of times I'd come in at 8 and stay till 6 and whatever it was. And now, like, sure, there's a lot of days where like pre-production, whatever, I'm like working a lot and constantly, but like, my daughter had a thing in school. I was able to start work late and go to it. My son got stitches. Unfortunately, I was able to like stop in the middle of my day, run and get him to the hospital and all those things. And like, you know, the way I work, like I was able to kind of just make it work, and I didn't have to like speak to a boss and justify it and get the time off and all those things.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's always crazy to me, because now my brother have a kid, and
congratulations.
It's just there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Isn't that crazy? You're an uncle. Wow.
It's insane. You love it so much for no reason.
Yeah.
And it grew up so much from this, literally this, I was holding him like that, and now he's bigger.
Oh, yeah, they get thick. Those babies get thick real quick. They're just like fat.
He's fat.
You want him to be fat. That's like healthy.
Yeah?
Like
it's like
fat
you can
babies.
see, you have like so many double chins, so you don't even see his chin. There's no chin. It's like just like...
The best things are like the legs and the arms of like those chubby babies. Oh, the best. And the funny thing is, you'll see with babies, like every month is different. They like within the first year, they advance so much. Like month 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, it's just so quick and so different.
That's what I told to my parents yesterday. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, guys. When you just saw him, he was cute, but now he's like even cuter. Like
100%.
Way more cuter. Not just, I'm sorry, family.
Just don't tell him that. Don't tell the baby. You don't want to offend the
baby. He will not see this podcast. He will be like, nah. No, but
so when are you having a fat, chubby baby? Yalla.
That scares me, because because this fate, I envy with this fate. I remember when I used to take the buses to Jerusalem, towards to the Judah and Samara and the West Bank, and you're going through and you see the bus went through the very religious places in Jerusalem, and you just see there's something that we don't have as seculars, which is comfort in a way, and not comfort as I'm comfortable with myself and like I'm satisfied. No, like sitting, very rooted comfort. And like, it's like you know what's gonna happen. You know the plan. Somehow it seems like everybody really knows what's gonna happen. Like it's very clear. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna not in a boring way, just like in a meaningful way. I know what I want to do. And I always, when I went there, the most beautiful girl. I don't know why.
I think so. I married
I don't
one.
know why. And they always like, oh my God. And I was just always keep thinking like, maybe I should just, go back in tshuva. And
You're one kippah tzitzit away from getting one of those girls. Hey.
And it was so, I was intrigued from the lifestyle always.
Yeah. I definitely think that like when it comes to, let's say, marriage and kids, there's like, young, dumb, and in love. Like that's what they like describe, like people getting married. I think there is that element where it's like you kind of just have to do it. If you think about it too much, it doesn't always make sense. It's like, wait, I'm going to share a life with somebody else, and like we're two different people, and we're going to raise a family, and like it's expensive, and like the second you start thinking, there's like 1,000,001 reasons why not to do it.
Yes.
All you have to do is like find one and just do it, and then you like find your happiness, because there is like a beautiful element of like you were saying, being grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Where like I go home and there are two tiny little creatures that love me for no reason. Like I didn't do anything and they love me. Then my wife, sometimes she loves me and sometimes she doesn't. It depends on the week, it depends on the day, it depends on the hour. She's great.
She's always right.
She's always right.
Doesn't matter what
Even when she's wrong, she's right. I did ask her yesterday. I was like, is it ever like tire you to always be right about everything no matter what? Like, is it hard? Like that's like a giant weight on your shoulders to like have never been wrong in your life. And she's like, no, I'm okay with it. And I'm like, okay, good for you. Because for me, always being wrong, it's hard. It weighs on me sometimes, like no matter what I do.
And I see sometimes your dynamic. Can you like tell me how did you like met? How was the first even date? Right? It's a date. And she's very noble, I would say. I don't think noble is the right word.
Well, you'd probably say regal.
Like royalty.
Regal.
Yeah. What is regal?
Because there's like a man is like a nobleman, like regal is like royalty. You can be regal.
Yeah. And you man of the people.
Yeah.
Like, you're in the streets.
I'm the court jester. Exactly.
Yes.
She's the queen. And I'm just like,
yeah.
Here,
And
laugh,
I see it
la,
on
la.
Shabbat, and I
Yeah.
see that like, I like that.
Somebody has to be. There's the contrast that works. At least she keeps me in the court, right? That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I am a man on the streets when she kicks me out and I have to sleep on the couch. I'm a man of the couch. I guess we're all a man of the couch sometimes.
Yeah.
That's also my piece of advice when people ask me about marriage. I'm like, buy a comfortable couch and a couch that could fit two, just in case. Pull her on the couch. She sends you the couch. Bring her with you.
Wow. I like it. There is also, right in the Torah, there's this thing that you sleep in different beds.
Yeah. When the woman is on her period, you sleep in two different beds.
The first time I heard about it, it was when I was 25.
Really?
Yeah.
So yesterday.
Like 5, yeah. 5 years ago, I had a worker who was religious, and he told me that. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, why? Immediately you're like, why?
Because Orthodox Jews sell beds, and they want to be able to sell two per family instead of one per family. You got to make that money.
The big rabbi have a company of beds.
100%. That's
like,
everyone has a side hustle. You're doing something in a jar that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And they're selling beds.
Exactly. Way of the world.
Exactly.
And it's funny because, you sometimes intrigued by how people lives, and it can be the next day, and it can be 5 days later, and it can be 5 years later, and you're like, that makes sense now. Like I actually now it does make sense, because he told me, yeah, it keep it on fire always. Like it keep the relationship good. Like I miss her.
Yeah, there's naturally, it kind of builds that like separation, like the absence makes the heart grow fonder. So it's like, okay, now you can touch and do whatever you want, and then it's like, okay, be separate for a little bit and then come back. And I think it's like healthy for both people. It's also like, again, like when a woman's on her period, she wants to kind of like be to herself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like kind of like, I don't know. To me, it works. It's nice.
It's
But I also don't know otherwise. So I hope it's good.
Wow. And raising 2 kids, is it because you opened the company when you had the second.
So I was always doing like production on the side. So what happened was, even when I did my 9 to 5, I always was like writing scripts and pitching scripts. And then I got hired to write a commercial, and then I saw how the production worked, and I was like, oh, I feel like I can do that. So then I started, like, on the weekends I would produce. If on the holidays I would produce. Anytime like I got off work early, I'd be like producing something, whether it was like shorts or a sketch or a web series or a commercial I was getting paid for. I was always like in production.
Mm-hmm.
And then I finally realized, I was like, hey, I am not gonna be able to support a family, let alone like a Jewish family, keeping kosher and all these things, like private school for the kids. I can't afford it on like a regular 9 to 5 salary.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to go and like make more money. I'm like, let me launch a company. Let's see what happens.
And do you stress about it? Like were you like?
Yeah, I'm saying I'm Jewish. Of course I'm stressed.
That's like
I
that.
That comes in it's with our genes.
Okay, thank you. That makes me a bit comfort. That makes me feel
if
good.
I wasn't stressed, I'd have to like do 23andMe and just make sure that like my parents didn't lie to me.
Because that's something I get anxious about, and it feels good. Like, oh, okay, so he also, because you look, I just opened a company.
I try to. A lot of anxiety meds. No kidding. Probably I should. It would help. No, to me, again, like I really feel like things work themselves out. Like, again, I was a few $1,000s short, and like, boom, I just got that thing. I literally, even like last week, it was hilarious where like I was speaking to my wife, and I was just looking at like the projections, like just based on the jobs I locked in, like what I was going to be like, making in July. And I looked at my wife, I was like, oh, do you know what I would like love? I would love just having like a last minute job that was like pretty easy, because like how production works. If you have a normal job, it can get dragged out a month until you lock it in and finalize and get paid. I'm like, it would be nice to have like a last minute job that takes me a couple days, but there's a deadline, so they need to finish it by, make decent money, and it would just be like such a nice thing. The next day I get a call to do a last minute music video. We were supposed to shoot the podcast. I had the last minute music video. I'm like, okay, that's great. I shoot the music video on a Wednesday. I get home and I'm like making dinner, and I get a call from another person, and he's like, I need something ready for Monday. I wanted to shoot tomorrow on Thursday. So I not only got one, I got 2 last minute jobs. Wow. Isn't that crazy? And it's just like, again, like I just put it out into the universe. I'm like, it would be so nice to have this, and like, boom, came through.
That's insane. It's really insane.
But it doesn't always work. Like I've put it out there, like I'm going to sell a show and be a showrunner within the next hour. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like,
who knows? Let me
who
know.
Knows? I'll call you in an hour. No, so but again, I think it's like, like there's also, I'm a big component. Like I think that people forget, let's say like when it comes to like praying, and especially like the way Jews pray, like there's something called the Shemona Esrei, which is like 8 blessings that you say every day. And like part of them are literally like straight up asking for what you want, being like, hey, I want health. I want this. I want that. And I think like you're allowed to have like that relationship with the universe and just be like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised. Like, what's the worst thing that happens if you truly like just ask for what you want? You don't have it right now. Right now you have nothing. If you ask for it, either you continue to have nothing or you get it.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
Or a lose-lose.
Exactly.
No. Wow. That's very interesting, the process of living.
Yeah. Life's interesting. Life's weird.
Because cool. There's so many things to do, and like sometimes I'm asking myself, is it all worth it, or is it all like what's the meaning? What is the purpose? What is all this? Like why?
What is the purpose of life?
Yeah.
Menachem, it's gefilte fish. Thank you for sponsoring. Throw to an advertisement.
Exactly. That's what I was aiming for.
Yeah, we just want some money.
Thank you.
Probably we should send this episode to Menachem.
Also, you mentioned you have. We talked before, and you said to Alex, I don't have the courage yet, or I'm not brave enough to open
to start a podcast.
Yeah, tell me about it. Like, wow.
For me to do a podcast, because I just like, there's 2 things about a podcast. I'm very much like, let's say when it comes to social media, there's consistency is key. Whenever like a friend or a client or anybody comes to me and asks me about social media, I say, unless you're ready to post 3 times a week, don't waste your time with social media. If you're going to post once a year, you're not going to get any results. It's not going to help. The same thing with a podcast. I feel like if I do a podcast, I need to do a weekly podcast or a bi-weekly podcast, because then like you need to kind of like go and build it up and like actually get a fan base, which means you're not only recording, editing, and uploading, but you're also getting guests for every week, and you're kind of doing that. And to me, I also would want to have like a tight theme for the podcast. I'd also, you know, like nowadays there's 1,000 podcasts, and again, this one obviously is the most special. Pants Off with Tom. Is that officially this, or switching the name? Or switching to Pants Off with Tom?
Yes.
Discuss it. We should do it. But to me, like, yeah, like I also, it's like, what makes my podcast unique and different? What can I, like, what's easily recreatable? Like, I'm not saying I'm not going to do it, but it's just about like figuring out what I want to do, and then like committing to like, you know, every Tuesday I'm doing a podcast or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Which is a lot, especially like when you have, you know, like kids and all the other things going.
That's
like on my plate, it's like, and podcast, like, whoo.
Whew, I got a podcast. That's a good name.
Like sweating just thinking about it.
I made it to the podcast.
Know, exactly.
All right.
Literally.
Everything all right with the kids.
So that's the thing. Like, I feel like I could definitely, like an episode of a podcast, I could do an episode. Can you do like 400 episodes a year? It's like, whew.
Now I'm questioning myself.
No,
the thing.
But you could definitely, I'm saying what's nice is, I don't know how you're like recording and releasing, but you definitely like could record 8 of them and then start releasing them. So you like give yourself a heads up.
That was the original plan, actually.
Unless we make like a very specific joke that only has to do with today. Then it just ages the podcast. And 6 months from now, they're like, Rosie O'Donnell said what?
So, yeah, with me it was, I wanted to wait to have more content.
Yeah.
To have more stuff. And then I was, the same thing with other projects that I have. I just need to have them out. I got another project that I stocked like 30 videos.
I remember that one.
Me drinking coffee all over. And so for that one, I knew I had to do it up front and be ready with a bank of content. But this one, it's here. It's based in LA. It's very local. It's like everyone is here. It's easy. It's kind of easy. It's easier than at least going across the states and trying to drink coffee. And many times I just need to start and then figuring out.
Yeah.
And
so I guess what's funny is for me, when it came to like marriage and kids, I just jumped into it and figured it out later. You don't have a wife and kids, but when it came to a podcast, you just jumped in and you're like, I'll figure it out later. And for me, I'm like, I don't know. I need an idea. I need guests. I have to figure it out. It's a big commitment. I don't know. So we each have our issues. The question is, which one's crazier? Who has more psychological issues? Because we definitely have psychological issues.
Oh, for sure. That's a good. It's like it's just start, because if I won't start, I don't have the courage enough. Because it's like once you see, for me, when I see a woman I like, and like if I'm thinking, I won't do it. Just like you said, if I'm not getting married, I can find a million reasons why not getting married. So you just go and do it, because then you figure it out on the way what to say, and you've like 10 seconds, and you do it, and it can be good or bad, and both of them are fine.
Yeah,
and you
just have to roll the dice and just hope for that.
And work on it. That's something that I always try to avoid with marriage and love. I always imagine for myself, we will just be in love and we will be good friends, and that's it. Like, you don't need to work in a relationship, on the relationship. That sounds like work. That sounds not fun. Why should? And now I realize, and it's definitely not like that. You need to work on your communication, on your struggles, like goals, like so many things. And especially like what you forget is like your parents are married.
Yes.
How long have they been married for?
Since they were like
A long time.
What?
After above 30 years.
Cool. Amazing.
Yeah.
Are you the same person you were 5 years ago?
No.
Are you the same person you were 10 years ago?
No.
20 years ago? Definitely not, right? No. Not only is it two people trying to like get along, but you're constantly changing. Like, I wasn't the same person I was 5 years ago, but I was married 5 years ago, and my wife's not the same person she was 5 years ago, and we were married 5 years ago. So it's like, you're also kind of like, the reason you have to work in the relationship is because both of you guys are growing and changing, and you have to kind of like adapt to each other as well. Like, again, like, my wife is in nursing school right now, so that's a big change, and then she's going to be a nurse. That's a big change. I'm saying that's just even work. That's not even like psychological, emotional, or any of those things. So it is this kind of like ever-growing thing, but that's part of the scariness, but it's also part of the beauty, where it's like you get to grow with someone and get old with someone and learn life with someone.
I'm now learning that and it's interesting because you're very focused once you do it. Because you focus on her.
You have to. Your life, I'm saying, like, when you have a wife, or especially when you have kids, like, your life has this different meaning, where it's like, when you're single, you can be selfish. When you're married, you can be a little bit selfish, but you still have to be selfless, where like you have to be there for your wife's needs and she has to be there for your needs. The second you have a kid, like, most of your selfishness like has to go out the window, because you now are responsible for these people's lives, education, food, like safety, all of these things. Wow. So you have to start putting like I was in the middle of like a big meeting. My son, I get a call from camp. My son split his chin open and we needed to get stitches. Like, I'm sorry about the meeting. Like, I have to go. Like, I can't be a part of this meeting. I'm responsible for this other human being's life, which is kind of crazy. And like, that's kind of learning to be selfless, but it also just gives you a cool perspective on life, where you're living differently.
What was the thing that most give you a different view of life? Like, what was the thing that you said, oh, I have a kid now, I see that very differently now? Like, even career-wise, like, the meaning was important for you, right? But now it's worth nothing if your kid needs you, obviously. So what was the game changer for you? Or?
The first game changer was like when I bought a shawarma and my son wanted a bite of it. I'm like, what? I'm like, are you kidding me? I have to share this with you? That was the hardest thing. Like, dropping the meeting and going to get stitches. Like, I figured it out. Me having to like, I'm like, bro, buy your own. Get your own. When I asked you if you wanted one, you said you wanted schnitzel, and now you want a bite? Get out of my face. But I had to let him have a bite, and I just had to watch pieces of my shawarma be slowly nibbled by this child mouth. Very painful. But I learned how to be selfless, and I had to just like pretend it didn't hurt me.
Oh, you pretend?
As this little child gnawed away at my food. How dare you?
So food.
Wasn't even about it's shawarma. It's not about the food. Like, I could have bought another shawarma, but it's like, you said you didn't, like, it's worse than when like your girlfriend or wife is like, no, I don't want dessert, and then you get dessert and then they want some.
Yeah.
You kind of expect that. But like, from the child, like, I'm like, you didn't even like shawarma. And he's like, I like the way yours taste. I'm like,
Mine?
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. But yeah, no, I'm saying it's just like, when it comes to children, it's not even like that moment. It's like, for me, I did have a little bit of a weird moment where like, my son was born, and I was in the hospital, and like, he was asleep and my wife was asleep. And then I had this like moment where it's like, oh my gosh, I can never leave. Like, I'm responsible for this human. Not that I wanted to leave, but like, I'm responsible for this human forever. Like, there's no going back. Like, there is no just me. Now it's like this unit. It's this team. I'm responsible for someone. So that's like, I think the first time it hit me, but it was like a good feeling. Like, it's a good responsibility. It allows you to be bigger than yourself, which I think is a very important thing.
Barking?
Speaking of, yeah, my wife's calling.
Oh, it's your wife? Answer.
Can I answer in the middle?
Of course.
We'll work on the podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, Rez, you okay? Yes, please. I'm recording a podcast right now. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, guys, we're done. Thank you so much.
The wife called. You got to answer the wife, okay? Like, I'm not looking to get murdered on a podcast. I didn't want this to be my last appearance ever.
Menachem.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was so nice.
Thank you so much.
If I would have known there was free coffee, I would have been here years ago. I will be here every day.
Yes. I try to. That's the surprise that I bring my guests. Like, a coffee, it's a have to. It's a.
You're going to charge me for it later, aren't you?
Of course. Quotes is on the way.
Just the invoice. At the end of each podcast, you should hand the guest a receipt and be like, thank you so much for being on my podcast. $4.95. And
It
yes,
was
that's how much coffees cost in California.
True. Wow.
It's crazy.
Absolutely.
In
Menachem.
Brooklyn, I went to a bodega, and it was like
Mhm.
the same black cup of coffee. It was like $1.45. And
Really?
I come here and it's like $4.95. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Is California more expensive than?
Yeah, because California, they assume that you're going to be in the coffee shop all day writing your screenplay. Versus in New York, they know that you're going to take your coffee and go work.
That's actually, it sounds.
So it's this. The coffee itself is $1.40, $1.50, and then the rest is rent. So in New York, they don't have to charge you rent for your coffee because they know, like, especially in a tiny bodega that's like gross and mice running around, they're like, you're not staying here. Enjoy your coffee. That'll be $1.50.
Wow.
In LA, they're like, it's $1.50 for the coffee. It's $3.50 for the Wi-Fi password.
I feel like that's actually the way.
That is.
You're not making this up. Or
No,
you,
this is. I am, but also.
but
no.
that makes so much sense.
All the coffee shop owners are like, he gets me.
100%. Yeah. Thank you for
Exactly. Sponsored by coffee.
all the coffee shops in California.
Exactly.
Menachem, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I
This was so
appreciate
fun.
you. This is the man you all guys need to know when you come into Hollywood.
Okay.
Let's go to our wives.